Hi, everyone. It's so good to be meeting everybody and post-lunch session, but I'm going to try and make an attempt to ensure that nobody falls asleep. And thank you so much for making that wonderful introduction. I just say in a nutshell, अभी मैं बोल सकता हूँ वो चकदे में शाहरुख खान बोलते हैं ना मैं कोच हूँ तो वो मैं कोच हूँ. So it's been a while in the marketing and advertising industry, and I've learned more or less everything on the job itself. And there was a point in my life where I was undergoing that midlife crisis and what to do next in life. How do I keep relevant? How can I stay relevant? How can I increase my levels of self-awareness? Somebody spoke about Ikigai. How can I find my purpose in life? And those were the moments of reflection that I went through. And I was going through, and then I came across something like, should I do another executive education? Or should I do something which is different, which I love doing, and which I would want to do? And I came across International Coaching Federation and it's an intensive course. And when I did that, I think it transformed a little bit within myself as to how I become a better version of myself. I've put together some slides to make it a little bit more fancier for everybody so that there's a reference point when we speak. Now, what is emotional intelligence and the power of AI in transformational leadership? Sounds very fancy and all, and most of us may be aware of this term. Most of us may have read about this term in a little bit depth as well. But this has got a lot of essence when we look at its application globally in today's world. Now, one of my inspirations is when I onboard a flight, we have been told that oxygen mask किसी और पे लगाने से पहले खुद को लगा लेना चाहिए, right? It's a very simple thing that I observed since many years. And that is so true, right? Before helping somebody, before creating an impact, before analyzing that what we are going to do next in our lives, which can create an impact for ourselves and others, we need to ensure that we have our levels of self-awareness increased. And we can measure that as well. Now, I'll tell a small, short story. So there was this monk and there was this samurai. Somebody may have heard about this story. It's a very short one. So the samurai comes to the monk and says that, hey monk, I need you to teach me something and I want to be more self-aware. So I want to spend some time with you, teach me something. The monk says, hey, just buzz off. I'm very busy right now, I'm meditating, so don't talk to me. So in the spur of the moment, the samurai pulled out his sword and said that, I'm going to chop off your head. How dare you speak to me like that? So now, little bit backstory. The samurai had asked a question that, monk, can you tell me the difference between heaven and hell? So that was the question he had asked. Now here the monk replies, that, my dear friend, is hell. Then the samurai put back his sword inside and said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. So that, my dear friend, the monk says, is heaven. This story is to realize that what entails emotional intelligence and why is it important in the area of transformational leadership and leadership as a whole as well. Some data, as we all love data, so I said that it's always good to put some data points in the front. HBR says that leaders with high EI are 34% more effective, and these are all most recent data points, 2-3 years back at the latest, effective in driving transformation. Now this is because it requires more than setting a direction. It requires the ability to connect with the people, which is of primary importance. The job of a leader is essential. Now, if I ask somebody, open to the audience, like one quick question. What is the most important asset in our organizations or anywhere that we work with? Anybody can, take a attempt at that. Most important asset. Team. Sorry? Most important asset of working in any organization, any place. What is your most important asset there? Data? People? People. Of course, data is not the wrong answer. the right answer as such. But when we talk about a holistic aspect of transformation, our teams, our people are of utmost importance. Look, a leader is sitting at the top of a branch. Like, visualize a leader is sitting here at the top of a tree of the topest branch. He has the ability to see the panoramic vision and anticipate what nobody else can see. That is why he's sitting there. That is the sole reason he's sitting there. And of course, he must be a champ. So, when we talk about the transition from a vice president to a CMO, or a CTO, or any role, or a chief digital officer, the C-suite basically. And then when we talk about the transformation from the C-suite till the CEO, that's the most, perhaps the most difficult transition in itself. The reason being, a CEO has to be adaptable in a lot of ways, in a variety of roles, including a lot of different pressures that only one single C-suite leader may not have in himself. So that's the reason WAF also indicates that by 2030, so we have all different skills like, upcoming skills like AI, data analytics, data science. Now, AI will be one of the top 10 skills they are predicting, which I agree with, because the way things are moving globally, in terms of attrition rates, in terms of why people are not happy, mental stress, a lot of things like that, right? Essentially, if we put it down, boil it down to a nutshell, people are maybe, I'm not generalizing, but people are moving too fast, people are not perhaps happy with what they're doing. There's a lot of toxicity in the environment as well. And now, IQ, and I've tried to cover certain aspects of EI in itself so that we can arrive at why is it important for transformational leadership. So when I was doing my study, I got to know a few certain aspects which were very interesting. Knowing how, and EQ is knowing yourself, the emotional quotient, the emotional intelligence. It is nothing but, do I know myself? And as simple as it may sound, it is perhaps the most complex thing, because when I was going through the training myself, there was a moment when I thought, why don't I just give it up? Because it was getting so strenuous. It is highly intensive training. When you're asked to actually reflect on yourself as a person, your strengths, your areas of improvements, what do you want to be doing in life? The SWOT analysis that we talk about, that's become a very general exercise, but till date, I'll be very candid. Every 6 or 7 months, last time I did it was I think in January. I remember it was very cold, and I did another round of exercise, because it makes me feel, and I'm using the word feel, because feeling is very important. We'll come to that in a bit. That where am I today? There were a lot of definitions of EI that we have, but I kind of crafted one by combining one or two, perhaps 3 definitions, and I thought it was sounding more simpler as well. It's the ability to monitor one's own emotions, regulate different emotions, and use emotional information to guide thinking, feeling, and behavior. So there are various feelings within us: anger, ego. Maybe we don't like somebody, maybe we don't know how to release that area of emotion. And it's very important as we move up higher in leadership, because there are a lot of different kinds of pressures, and when to and how to communicate something becomes very important, and EI plays a pivotal part in that. EI is not one single term. So if somebody says that, or I say, okay, today I have EI, today I will do my best, and because today I have EI. It does not make sense, because EI is a combination of a lot of factors. And these are some of them, the key ones. Some words, what I feel, and I'm being very candid, have become very buzzwords and fancy words today for corporates, like empathy. I was talking to somebody about 1.5 years back, and one of my group managers, he said, we did a meeting, and he was reporting me, and he said, he told me that we did the meeting and I displayed empathy. And I was like, the first reaction I had, you don't need to tell me that you displayed empathy. So it has become more of a, thing to say that, hey, I have empathy. But it is something to do with feeling, something to do with care, something to do with authenticity, something to do with being genuine. And everything, as easy as it may sound, becomes difficult when we are at a challenging role at the helm of affairs. Limiting beliefs, I'll talk a little bit about each of these. Limiting beliefs are something which, for example, I want to go hit the gym, I want to go to the gym, right? And this is a very common conversation. I'm not being able to go to the gym, I'm not being able to wake up early, I'm not being able to do this. Or I want to meet this person, I want to schedule a meeting, but I'm kind of postponing it, going on postponing it. Because that's probably not on the priority list, right? And limiting beliefs also crop up a lot from your childhood. For the first 7 to 10 years of your childhood, a lot of limiting beliefs that are imbibed by various people, by your parents, by your relatives, what the things you absorb, by the things you see, by the things you are made to believe in. So those are your limiting fears and limiting beliefs. So it is very important to know them. Most of us, even I was not aware of it. But I had limiting beliefs. So what is stopping me from doing this, right? Social skills, everybody knows social skills. Empathy, everybody knows what is empathy. It is important to put it into practice. And it only comes with consistent practice. Self-awareness. This is a subject in itself, so we are going to just touch. I'm just going to mention that there's a lot of exercises. If you may have heard about the Johari window model. If you've not, just Google it up, see, look me up. I'm happy to have a chat as well. There is a Johari window model, which it's a model to raise your levels of self-awareness. But it is an exercise in itself, and it transforms one person to a better version of that person. This is absolutely true for the people who practice it. Self-regulation. Self-regulation is a part of emotional regulation, that how we regulate ourselves, our emotions. Handling unknown territory, this is my favorite actually, because when I was doing it, I was not aware I'm handling, going into unknown territories. So I keep on giving this example. I've raised my hands multiple times in the areas where nobody else raised their hands. And I feel very happy stating that. Like, कौन करेगा मैं करूँगा, कैसे करोगे मुझे पता नहीं, but मैं कर दूँगा. वो वाला जो impact है, that impact and that conviction, I never knew that I had that. But later on I realized gradually that this is such an important area, and this limiting beliefs and handling unknown territory are very interrelated. That how do you overcome the fear of going into something unknown territory? If you see, I'll give you a quick example, job description from an FMCG company, right? I was talking to a CMO friend of mine. He was like, यार अंकुर यहाँ पे तो वही चाहिए जो FMCG category में काम कर चुका है. But there are other examples also where people from different industries, and you must also be aware of certain people who have shifted industries, like verticals completely. So it's a combination of how the ecosystem works and how you also position yourself, how you learn aspects, and also from limiting beliefs that how much do you want to learn, how much risk do you want to take in life, like mutual funds, right? But the thing with mutual funds is many of the things you need to be aware of, but in this area it comes with conscious practice. This is one slide I usually, and this is a slide from HBR, but I have my own version of my slide, which I use in my coaching sessions. They're the 12 competencies and the 4 EI domains: self-awareness, management, social awareness, relationship management. Now, if we broadly look at how EI can be imbibed and inculcated within teams and within ourselves. Before imbibing into teams, it is very important for ourselves to practice that. And there has to be a method, right? We can't just say today that today I'm going to sit for a while, reflect. Reflection is a big part of it, but it doesn't happen that way. There's a process to it. So this is one of the processes that when we reflect on this and make notes and practice on a regular basis. So I've had my own coach who has coached me. And one of the important aspects is when we need help in the corporate life also, ask for it. asking for help is absolutely important. And one of the aspects I'm going to touch upon is vulnerability. We as leaders, and I have faced and come across many such, leaders in my journey, so that don't show your vulnerable side. Now things are changing. When I've realized that when I've actually shown my vulnerable side to my teams, there's a different magic that happens in that moment. That, hey, I need help. I'm not feeling up to it. Can you help me? Or, that magic only happens once you open yourself up and say that, hey, I'm just feeling low today, and can you help me? I need help. Or saying that I don't know this. There have been many times where I've mentioned that I do not know this. Can you tell me? To the effect that I've told an intern multiple times that, can you teach me this? I really find this interesting. Can you teach me? Who am I? And there are about 3 more slides to go. This is one part of our study that, who am I? And anybody wants to share a quick thought that if we say this question, who am I? What thought comes to your mind? Anybody? It's normally, no answer is wrong or right, just for information. If anybody has a thought, you can. Please, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. Please. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good try. Thank you so much, ma'am. Your name, please? Hansini. Sir, your name, please? Sir. Robindro. Thank you so much, Hansini and Robindro. Absolutely. And there is, as I said, no right or wrong answer. This is a part of this holistic answer, and I'll make it simpler. Discovering our strengths and values. The values are more important part of it. And usually in daily lives, we don't think about it much. Whenever I go to offices for meetings and all, I see big, big words written on their walls. Integrity, strength, empowerment, collaboration. And I've done experiments, right, with the teams that I've worked with. When I say that, okay, what does integrity mean to you? People will think for a moment. Integrity, somebody actually looked it up in the dictionary and it's absolutely okay. The thing is, we do not talk about it enough. When I was with GE, we had a center of excellence, and we need to have more such center of excellences when there is an HR function involved, to have people imbibed with these kind of values. So Simon Sinek says in his book, The Infinite Game, that, and I deeply resonate, he says there is a just cause, quote unquote, just cause. What is that cause that people, even if they know that this may not be a success, they'll still go ahead with you. Still go ahead with the leader and say, I'm with you and I'm going to do it. It takes time to build that kind of trust. So, discovering and this we're talking about ourselves, not about our teams. First ourselves, oxygen mask on us first. Plan on how to utilize them in your decision making and overall well-being. Right. And these are few things that I'm taking out from my hardcore study and trainings, because these are very crucial as we move up in life, because there is a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. Let's admit it. That's absolutely fine. Hota hai. But how do we manage that? And I love Venn diagrams. Just put 3 circles, very easy, or 2 circles, and put something in the middle. So, I'll make it easy I was trying to make this easy for me when I was, trying to build a session for, coaches. So I said that one of the tasks we have at hand is how do we simplify it, right? What's important to me? What do I love to do? What do I do well? Try it out. I would say try it out whenever you have time. And it's very important, like Bruce Lee says in Enter the Dragon, like, be like water. Like he talks about the flow states. Enter the Dragon, anybody watched, or I'm kind of sounding Greek? Sorry. Thank you. There's somebody who's watched Enter the Dragon. So, meaning and purpose, interests and passions, and core strengths. So, if you want to just maybe click a picture and try this exercise at home whenever at your leisure, try it out. That what's important to me, and take time. It does not happen in a few minutes. It took me a while to do that, and I keep on revisiting this from time to time, because all these three are different from each other. And perhaps, do we move forward? So now the last two slides is characterized by the ability to inspire and motivate others. Now, the main topic. Because before coming to the main topic, and these are the last two slides, I thought it is important to understand what is emotional intelligence and how do we arrive at EI. That is more important. And this was as crisp as possible I could get in my slides. To motivate others and achieve that extraordinary outcomes, it's about leading with vision, creating a sense of purpose, and that sense of purpose is such a powerful thing. The purpose, and before that, the sense of the purpose. You know that you need a purpose, and you have that sense of that purpose. And consistently creating an environment of trust, innovation, and change. The trust word is so important while we are working with teams and in transformational leadership. Because even for people, particularly people who are, in CXO levels or with the government, where there is high-pressure jobs, right? And you're doing transformation at a large scale. Imagine, what are you doing for yourself? You need to wake up every morning with that zeal. And it is important, right? There has to be a mechanism by which you stay spiritually, mentally, and physically healthy. And Daniel Goleman, this is the Bible of emotional intelligence. I've read his book. We were made to read his book while during the study. It's such an amazing book. I recommend it to anybody who's interested in this topic of AI. In a very real sense, we have two minds. One that thinks and one that feels. What we do in life is determined by both, and how we learn to integrate this thinking and feeling. Thank you so much for giving that. All right, so this is the Johari window I was talking about. I won't go into depth, but at times we don't know what we don't know about something. At times we don't know what we know something. At times we know that we don't know something, and when we know that we know something. So I'm not going to explain this in the constraint of time, but this is a model which I deeply recommend to people. It's readily available, but you need somebody to guide you through this model. Because there is a method of practicing this, because if you just read this, you may not be able to achieve the end goal of this model. It's a very powerful model. I'm going to skip this last slide in the interest of time, and these are my coordinates. Please feel free to connect, and if you have any questions as well, I'm there on LinkedIn. If you have a question now, I'm happy to take a question, or we can take it later as well. And thank you so much for your presence.